Hello, YouTube. So, I'm here today to review Frank Herbert's Dune. The Dune. Super famous, and I think it deserves all the praise that it's gotten. In this video, I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to give you the conclusion, the TLDR right now within 2 minutes, so you know what my recommendations are. And then if you want to keep listening to the review, be my guest. So everyone, welcome here. Thank you for your time. And I'm going to give you the TLDR conclusion before going into the review, because that's how I want to do things. I don't want to waste anyone's time. So to be quick, I read this book like 10 years ago, and then I saw the movies and I wanted to reread it. What do I think about it? It blew my mind. It, changed all of the thoughts and expectations that I had and the memory I had from reading it. This is an amazing piece of art. It deserves all the praise that it's gotten. If you enjoyed the movies and you're considering reading this is like, the movies were great, but this is so much better on every single count. The setting, the story's more fleshed out and developed. The characters are so much better. Everything is better. And I enjoyed the movies. So if that's what you're after, you just want a quick review, you just want to know the TLDR, I highly, highly, highly recommend this. Despite being a person that I actually enjoy like sword and sorcery, dragons, heroes kind of fantasy, and this is not that. This is sci-fi and some political stuff in the desert. Despite that, I love Dune. It's so incredible. It's so great. So if you're even thinking about it, if you're here listening to my words right now, and you just want a quickie review, we're not even at 2-minute mark yet, go get it. Stop watching the video, go get it. Thank you for your time and have a great blast with it, and let me know if you, enjoyed it afterwards. If you want to stay for the rest of the review, you're welcome too. So thanks for that either way. So that was my conclusion, and now I'm going to give you a little bit of a general thoughts and rant. After that, I'm going to go into pluses and minuses. And after that, I might have a spoiler talk if I have the time. Let's see. Let's see how we proceed. I haven't planned much. I just wrote a little bit of notes. So, as I said, I read this 10 years ago. You can see this book is a little bit messed up. You used to take it to the forest, and it was really difficult for me to understand the setting and to let everything sink. And I couldn't really immerse myself in it 10 years ago. So I read it, and I was like, okay, I kind of got it, but kind of not. It's a lot of things were new to me. Then I watched the movies, and I felt like I want to give this another chance and read it again. And, as an individual that's 10 years older, in my case, I am a much better reader. It's easier for me to immerse myself in a book. And it just blew my mind. I had forgotten how good this was. I don't think I could comprehend how great this was and really understand it and appreciate it for what it was. I was just blown away and like, did I actually read this 10 years ago? I was another human being. So, there are so many things I love about it, but just to give some examples and compared to the movies, everything is better. The characters are better. There are interactions between the characters, those dynamics and how they connect to the main story. There's a scene, without spoiling, there is a dinner scene that's super famous from the book that is not in the movies, and it's incredible. I love it. It just immerses you in the world. There is one of my favorite scenes is between Jessica and Thufir Havat. One of my favorite scenes from the book. It's just perfectly executed. And the way the characters are introduced in this book, they kind of get their own scenes in the beginning. And that is perfectly executed. So everything about the book, in my opinion, is better than a movie if you're going to compare it. Because it really helped me to get immersed in the world, to have that visual anchor. But this just beat everything on every count in every way. So, nothing but praise there. Are there things about the book that I didn't love? Yeah, I'm going to get into that. But just in general, there's just so many things that are more enjoyable. And I also enjoy that the villains, the Harkonnens, they're not like dehumanized, hairless pigs that are like bathing in mud pools. Because that's not in the book. I think that's from one of the old movies. They're a little bit more relatable, but they're still evil. This is a classical evil, good and evil story. And the Baron is even more evil and disgusting in the book in a certain way with certain preferences he has and habits. And I just love how that was made. I love it. It was perfect. And I wish they could have done that in the movie, but I think there are reasons why they didn't do it that I really disagree with, but I'm not going to go into that right now. So that's a general review. This is, in my opinion, better than a movie in every single way, and just an amazing book, just an amazing piece of art. And for the general thoughts, I think we're going to be done with that. It was quite short, but yeah, that's it. So let us get into some pluses and minuses, in my opinion. So still going to be spoiler-free, pluses and minuses for the book. And before I say that, I'm going to give this the highest praise that I can give it. If I'm going to give it stars, I think I'll give it 4.5 or 5 stars, somewhere there. If I'm going to give it a percentage out of 100, I'm going to give it 96 to 97. It's really, really good. It deserves all of the good reputation and credit that it's gotten. So I'm going to start with 3 pluses and 3 minuses. I'm going to start with 3 pluses, and then we're going to get to 3 minuses. The 3 pluses I have is, the first one, the POVs are great. So this book plays with perspectives. You change perspectives between different characters, and they have different information. So it's so exciting and so amazing to see, how the story is built and how everything is weaved together from all the different perspectives and characters. He's done such a great job, and having read the first 4 Dune books and then go into, I'm currently reading Malazan, it's just, it's just natural for me, but I love a book that has POV perspectives. I just love that. It is a little bit difficult to, switch gears. You have to jump from characters. Sometimes you jump to a totally different set of characters and to a totally different place. But I just love that with this book. It's masterfully done. So that's my first plus. The second plus is related to that, and that's the characters in this book. They are so great. They are better than all the other characters in the first 4 books, in my opinion. And they're so much better than in the movies. Like, it might be hard for the movies to live up to the same level. I think they could have, but the characters are just, each and every one of them are interesting and good and fleshed out enough, where Herbert's way of approaching characters, in my opinion, is more of a, your actions and how you treat others define you more than, brooding and thinking like therapy bullshit, which in my opinion, a lot of people think that's good characterization when you're like brooding and being like just overthinking shit. In my opinion, that's not good characterization. In my opinion, how you act, what you do, yeah, there are some thoughts, but just straight up, that defines you. So love that about the characters here. Even the more psychological scenes they feel like action, because he makes them feel like, I'm not going to spoil it for you because there are aspects in the story that affects that, but I love that. So pluses, POVs, characters are great, and the last plus, of course, the story. The story is amazing. The way everything goes together is just perfect, almost perfect. I would have liked a more traditional, like, happy ending, which you can argue that it is, but I imagine there being celebrations, kind of. Trying not to spoil it now, but there are pluses and minuses to everything. I would have liked to see more of that, because that would have created a stronger contrast for Dune Messiah, because that's such a contrast to this book. So I would have loved to see that, but at this point, that doesn't feel like a spoiler to me. What more? Yeah, so those are the pluses. The POVs, I love them, the characters, and the story. So going for the 3 minuses, because I'm just giving this praise after praise after praise. Are there things that I don't like about this book? Actually, there are. There are several things that I don't like about this book, but despite them, it's a success for me. So the first minus is actually the setting, and it's not only the physical setting, it's also the mental setting, that the political stuff, being in the desert, it being sci-fi. I don't like any of that. I don't like desert stuff, even if I'm ethnically from the Middle East. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of sci-fi in general. I like fantasy more. I'm a stupid barbarian, uncivilized, swords, dragons, save the fair maiden, that kind of person more. I enjoy the first Conan movie a lot. I'm that kind of person. So despite that, despite the setting, despite the political stuff that I usually think political stuff is like gossiping old ladies that just annoys me and just can you please just shut up and I don't want to read your book. That's me generally. Dune just does that perfectly. Dune gives you the perfect amount and dose of, a little bit of politics, a little bit of military strategic stuff, a little bit of fighting, and it still has melee fighting, which I love. And it just strikes a perfect balance. So even a fantasy reader, because this is kind of fantasy sci-fi, even a fantasy reader can love this. Even a stupid barbarian Neanderthal can love this. So I really like that. So despite that minus, I still liked it. The second minus might be the biggest deal breaker for most people. And no pun intended, but Frank Herbert's language is quite dry. And it takes some time to get used to. I learned to like it, but it was difficult. Just the way he writes, I can't explain why because I'm not an experienced reader. Just the way he writes it's not super approachable. And I understand if a person would not like it and that it would be a deal breaker for them. It wasn't for me, it might be for you. There are also a lot of terms that I used in the story in this universe that are not real world words. There is a glossary at the end of the book that's pretty good and useful, but just the way they're used, the book, a lot of people have said this, I don't relate to it, but a lot of people say that you're just dropped into the world and you don't know anything. But I think it's kind of super well explained. You just have to deal with it. But it might be a deal breaker for some people. You just go into the world. People use these words. You don't even know what they are. So the language might be a deal breaker. That's the second minus. It was a hurdle for me, but once I got through it, it actually was just rewarding. The third one is that there are some desert parts in the book where, there are people, one or more characters, traversing the desert. And to be honest, it was just super boring. It was just terrible. It's just a desert. I don't want to read I don't want to learn words and read about desert lingo and how this kind of dune is called this and this kind of sand dune is called I don't want to read this shit. That's how I felt. But those parts were not long. It's only 2 or 3 parts that felt like that. And I also felt like it was kind of miserable for the characters going through those parts. And I just felt like it's miserable for me to read them. So it made sense. I could cope with that. But those are the 3 minuses I would give the book. So to summarize, 3 pluses. The POVs are great. The characters are great. The story is great. All amazing. 3 minuses. The setting, both physical and the politics stuff and sci-fi, not my thing. The language is meh. Can be dry for some people, and the terms, and you just dropped into this world. It could be a minus for some people. And the third one for me was some of the desert parts were just too tedious for me. Despite all these minuses, this is an amazing book. It gets my highest recommendation. So if you're even considering this, go get it. Go read it. I encourage you. Am I gonna have a post-review spoiler talk? No, I'm not gonna. If you want more extended thoughts and rant about this book, I can give that to you if there's enough demand for it. Just started this channel fresh, so I'm gonna let the responses and the replies determine how much energy and time I'm going to put into this. So with all that said, the conclusion was already in the beginning of the video, so you already know what I think. That was the full review for Dune. I had a great time reading this. I thank you for your time, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment if you have any thoughts or comments or questions, and please subscribe. Stay tuned for more. I'm probably going to review Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, and also God Emperor of Dune in the coming, upcoming weeks. So stay tuned for that if you're interested, and have a nice day.